Gassama from Senegal, where she is a leader for realising sexual and reproductive justice. The 2030 agenda needs to address macroeconomics, but it's pretty clear it also needs to address these micro-daily decisions individuals make in terms of how they live their lives. From your standpoint, what has sex got to do with it? And why should we be talking about sex?
Merci. Merci.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. I'm sorry that the President of the General Assembly is not with us, because I wanted to thank him and say how very happy we are. When I say we, it's because I am here, but I am not alone. I am part of a worldwide movement, a revolutionary movement, which has been in existence for almost longer than the United Nations. The women's movement, as a feminist, as a critic, as a defender of human rights, I find it rather a pity that there are still some empty seats here in this chamber. It's probably because we're meeting here at the same time as the High-Level Forum on Sustainable Development. And unfortunately, ambassadors cannot split themselves in two. And the permanent missions are not able to provide enough people to be present everywhere. And I assume that others also are at the African Union Summit. Madam, I thought a great deal about what I should say here. It is an unbelievable opportunity for me. This is a moment I have been waiting for as a woman, as a young woman from the south, as a Mandingo, that's my Senegalese identity. I want to speak very frankly to you. This is an opportunity that I have, and I don't want to speak just as though I were speaking on behalf of civil society or a member state. Madam, the United Nations was established 70 years ago to put an end to hegemonism, totalitarianism of all kinds, and racist, discriminatory, and racist systems which threaten the very future of the world after the World War. Today, 2016, we are all guilty. Yes, you heard me right, we are guilty of participating in the continuation of totalitarianism. Most of us have remained blind, deaf, and dumb vis-à-vis what is actually unacceptable. We've been cynical. We have condemned this, but at the same time, there are enormous resources, and we have failed to live up to our values, to the commitments made by this great organization, the United Nations. Madam, I wish to congratulate you, not simply on being the moderator, but because you are part of the Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights. And you, with your colleagues, and particularly Navi Pilan, I want to thank you all for your resolve, your courage, to persist against all odds, to do what you are doing in Geneva rather than here at the headquarters of the United Nations in New York. What you have been doing is promoting human rights. You have advanced the most progressive rules of law, respecting the indivisibility and universality of human rights. Just 2 weeks ago, your colleagues, the member states in Geneva, adopted yet another resolution to better protect the rights of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, intersexual community, recognizing the urgent need to set up an office of the Special Rapporteur on gender issues. Yes.
Sex. All of it because two people had sex. J'espère que comme avec...
I hope that, as is the case with all other special rapporteurs, you member states will be able to see that special rapporteur as an ally to ensure a real transformation. We also welcome the General Assembly's adoption on 20 June last of a resolution on the elimination of all kinds of female genital mutilation. We also pay tribute to the courage and resolve of members of SADC in Southern Africa. Collectively, they rejected once and for all the worst form of public pedophilia, which has been forgotten. I'm talking about early and child marriage. And, Madam, I would call on the members from SADC here, and I'm sorry the African Union is not here. I trust that they will share with others their experience in this area. We also welcome the growing awareness of the need to protect and respect the right of sex workers and to limit criminalization whereby their fundamental human rights are being violated. We have to think about how to make what we do here real. It is a matter of enormous urgency that we be the decision makers. We have to put aside what was done in the 40s. We have to go back to the 40s and look at what was done then. They were able to put an end to a criminal, exploitative regime, Nazi German, imperialist Japan, and Russia at the time. We have to move ahead and defend planet Earth. We must now resist all forms of totalitarianism, economic, political, social, religious, or cultural. They are predators. They want to prevent us from doing what we will do. We have to make sure that we can be masters of our own bodies, and together, collectively, under a rule of law, we have to defend our freedom. Madam, there are many faces to what is being done today. Kinds of government, armed groups, quasi-religious groupings, and alas, we have candidates for the highest office in and if we want to transform our world, we have to condemn flagrant attempts, shameless attempts to thwart democracy. We have to acknowledge the sacred right of peoples to self-determination. The situation in Brazil today, in Paraguay, Panama, and Egypt yesterday, the situation is shameful, indescribable. Why is it in some countries you can have choices and in other countries there are certain factors that are responsible for decisions? The international system is multilateralism. The United Nations has become actually an exceptional place rather than an example of simple multilateralism. We have to look, Madam, at what possible solutions are so that the women can build a better world. But it's actually quite simple, you'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished representative, let us come back to the values that inspired us 70 years ago, the sacred values. One country, one voice. We must reform thoroughly all the institutions in the United Nations. We have to liberate you, the General Assembly, from arrogance, archaism, criminal and the rule of the permanent members. Let the United Nations do the enormous amount of work that needs to be done. Madam, we are too humble to say straightforwardly to you that those that combat inequality are set back at the back of the drawer every month, and experts are just appointed. We have to stop blackmailing through the budget, and there has to be a calm, stable way for those who want to do their work.
Comme disent mes amis du...
Put your money where your mouth is so that you're not embarrassed. And above all, elect a feminist Secretary General who will have the strength of her convictions and will be able to defend all rights, all men, all women in all countries, whether or not they are free or living under occupation. Ladies and gentlemen, we know what we must do to heal our world. We know it is possible. There are countries in all parts of the world where you can live freely, where you can love freely, regardless of your sexual orientation. They can have children when and with whom they wish, and they do not have to fear being raped. And distinguished President of the General Assembly, Madam Moderator, we are defending our rights, and we are not asking for anything new. We are just asking for consistent application of the principles in the Charter of the United Nations, which you have all agreed to commit yourself to. You must live up to what you have said. You must honour your commitments. I end with that, Madam. But I want to suggest something. I believe that if your duty as a General Assembly and of the future Secretary General to remind all those who are hiding behind the excuses of morality, religion, whatever you wish. Everybody is free to do what he or she wishes. We have to leave UN exit, because I sincerely believe that we have to, it is better to move ahead. Thank you very much.